Hi, everyone. Mary Esther Gilbert back again, doing another live call on Friday night with my members here at the True Health Mastery Institute of Holistic Personal Health Management. And I am so excited to share what I have to share with everybody out there. Thank you for joining us. I'm so excited that people are actually watching the videos on the YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, because every week we're putting out some phenomenal information that is truly life-saving and building your knowledge so that you can truly master your health. That is not a joke. I am not kidding. Once you gather the information that you need to start rebuilding your health and protecting your health against so many bad things that are out there for you, and to know the difference, to tell the difference between what's good and what's bad, that's what I'm here for. I've been doing this for 45 years, well, 46 years now. It's pushing 50 years, and I kind of hang back and still say 45 or 46 years. Sounds a lot less than 50 years. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I've been here this long. But it's something that I'm very passionate about, because when you see the results that match the rigid scientific facts that I deliver to people, you would not believe the transformations. And already I'm seeing transformations here among the members, so it's really exciting. All right, so I encourage you to join the True Health Mastery Institute. It's only $12.97 a month, and you're getting so much more information. If I were to be your one-on-one consultant, like I did for 30 years in my private practice in Northern Cal, when I lived up there, I'm in Arizona now, it was exciting to see those transformations. And now I get to do this to more people all at once. So this is what I'm called to do. I feel I'm so compelled to do something in me. I think God is talking to me. He's telling me, do it. Yes, do it. You've got to get this message out there. How can I deny that? How can I not do that? And it's in me. He put this in me. It's in me. So this is why I'm doing this, because I love it. I wouldn't have done this for this long if I didn't, right? And so anyhow, I'd love to have as many people on board getting this life-saving, life-changing, health transformational information out there. All right, so tonight, the topic is going to be about all of those microplastics that people have accumulated in their bodies since the 1950s. And it's been generational. It's been accumulating in the body, and it's passed on from generation to generation. And the science is beginning to finally show, which something, empirical data that I've gathered among my clients, and helping them overcome these kinds of toxins over the years. I've seen the health transformations, and now the science is finally confirming what healers have known all along. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so microplastics toxicity, the link to many health conditions and the botanicals that help the body detoxify. So what exactly are microplastics? Let me change my screen so I can see everybody. Looks like that. I like to see everybody. Okay, here we go. So they are synthetic environmental pollutants that have accumulated in the oceans, polar regions, remote islands, and are a major threat to the Earth's ecology due to their diverse and adverse effects. So I'm going to enlarge this little image here so you can kind of get a visual already of the kinds of health effects that have happened. So as you can see, we get it from everywhere. Plastics, synthetic paints, even tires. And once they start breaking down in the environment, they form little microscopic beads and fibers, or even fragments. So they are in different shapes and sizes, but they do get embedded in our bodies. So we can inhale them. There's all these fibers that we're inhaling that are airborne, these aerosol sprays, fertilizers, anything that's airborne, we are inhaling. And they get ingested. They're in our foods. If your food is exposed to plastics for a period of time, you can actually, when you open a bag or something, or a box that has a food item in it, you can smell the plastics. Don't inhale it too much, because it kind of gives you a headache. You can feel the burning sensation in your brain. Okay, so do not try to stay away from foods that are wrapped in plastics. The more you shop the periphery of the store, which is fresh fruits and vegetables, and the raw meats, even the deli meats, the ones nowadays, they sell them without the hormones and all the things that they would have fed the animals before, and without all the nitrates and all these preservatives, then they taste so much better. But anyhow, you shop the periphery of the store and you'll be much better off. Those aisles are just full of the stuff that I've gone over in other videos, like the wrong fats, the wrong, just a reducing of food to something that's not even recognizable and hardly food anymore, with a bunch of additives and synthetics and stuff like that. It's no wonder everyone out there is sick. They're not giving their bodies what their bodies are searching for every moment to do its work, to keep life going, to keep life perpetuating. And prevent the disease process. That's what I've seen over the years. Once you make that transformation, then your body starts saying, okay, thanks. Now I've got something to work with. I can start rebuilding and making sure that everything is functioning properly. All right. So anyhow, back to this. So microplastics, you can ingest them. They're in the food, they're in the drinking water, and they're in beverages. If you buy plastic bottled water, then I suggest you get a filter to even filter that. Or as one of the videos that I showed before on my YouTube channel that you can dig out and look at, water has information that it stores. And so when you expose it to toxic chemicals, then it's not not a nutritious kind of water. It's lacking the oxygen and the inability to communicate with your body. So there's a lot to it. Please don't drink tap water. Don't drink distilled water. Go ahead and buy the purified spring water. And also, what I was getting at with the information that water stores is you can pray around water. Now, this has been scientifically verified, and this is what healers and spiritual people have known for thousands of years, that water will respond and purify itself in response to prayer. So that's another thing that you can look at and find. Like I said, finally, what the spiritualists and the healers have known for thousands of years, science has been catching up the last 50 years. I mean, I've been noticing it for the last 45 years since I've been around looking at the science. So things like that are starting to confirm what people have actually known before. So anyhow, drinking water is very, very important. I do have a video out there on it. So this session is not about that. Okay, so all these beverages, the synthetic beverages, I mean, inside the processing of all of these synthetics are the fact that microplastics are around. They're in these products, not just in the containers, but they get absorbed into the foods or foodstuffs, I like to call them, if they're not actual food. So this is what happens in the body. There's oxidative stress, which means that molecularly speaking, the body's trying to reduce things down so that it can utilize whatever nutrients are left or available in the body. And that's called oxidative stress. Whenever something interferes with how the body reduces things to usable levels at the cell level to nourish you, then there's going to be a lot of stress there. If you're under psychological stress, if you're under, emotional stress, or if you're ill, or if your body's polluted and it's full of toxins like the microplastics we'll be talking about tonight, then it will reduce the functioning of your body at the micro cell level. We've got multiple trillions of cells, as I've always mentioned, so we've got to make sure that we are protecting against oxidation. Okay, neurotoxicity. It affects how the nervous system works, the brain and the nervous system. I'll go over how it affects that system in this session tonight. Reproductive toxicity, carcinogenicity. So the science truly has shown very plainly at pointing to these microplastics as one of the main causes of these illnesses, these very, dangerous illnesses. Altered metabolism, how your body processes nutrients, how your body tries to protect itself through the immune system, how your brain works. Everything is altered when you have these toxins in your body. So I'm going to show you all the bad things about it. And toward the end, I'll show you all the good foods that has been proven scientifically, the phytochemical compounds in the plant kingdom, how they actually bind to these toxic chemicals and allow the body to eliminate them. Now, the science is still, busy trying to make sure there's enough evidence out there so that they can state it as factual evidence or facts. But there's plenty of science already, and there's a lot of empirical data that people have been seeing the health transformations when they provide the body with the right nutrients, and especially in the plant kingdom. Okay, so let's go on here. Microplastics are synthetic, high molecular weight compounds that have been reduced into plastic particles smaller than 5 millimeter in size. And they can be anywhere from 5 millimeter, 100 millimeter. They can be all sizes, right? But as they gradually decompose, then they end up being nano-sized particles, which can enter the body in many dangerous ways. And I'll go over that in detail. Produced intentionally, or when they begin to decompose, they form other toxic chemicals. So while they're breaking down, they're creating more toxic chemicals. So these chemicals are released into the environment. And once they're in the environment or in your body, it's very, very difficult to get them out. So rate of biodegradation is very low and remain in the environment indefinitely. They call them forever chemicals. Many of them have been banned in other countries. And finally, the United States is catching up. The United States in that area has been quite corrupt, and that's why it's taken a lot longer. We're a much larger country than other countries, size-wise, population-wise. So it's taken a while to educate our public so that we can boycott the things that actually cause us harm. And as information is more and more released and less censored, I do have to be careful what I say on my own YouTube channel. I was kicked off the channel for a week because they didn't like how I, said things. Okay, certain words they don't like. Wow, it just kicks you out. It's not unfair. It's a censorship, and it violates our First Amendment rights of the Constitution for the for the people. Okay. Another subject, another, tangent I can easily get off on, but this is not the purpose of this call. Okay, so now the rate of biodegradation is very low and remains in the environment indefinitely, are easily ingested due to their micro level sizes. Now, when they get reduced down to the nanoparticle sizes, as I stated, then they're much more easily ending up inside of our tissues. And therefore they move through the food chain easily. So since we're at the top of the food chain, we're going to be ingesting any plant or animal that has taken up these microplastics into their own tissues. So when we eat these animals or plants, then we're going to be ingesting their nano particulates as well. So this is why we have to wake up and make sure that we know which botanicals have been shown to help us get rid of these very dangerous particles. All right, so now, after entering the human body, microplastics that are under 100 nanometers are able to reach almost all organs. Since the human body is the top of the food chain, its accumulations are the highest. Although there are many sources of microplastics, more research is needed to accurately understand their complete impact, although with the generational accumulation of these particles in the body, it's becoming more and more evident of their impact as a result of exposure to water, seawater, air, and soil. So they are everywhere. They have had time to infiltrate everywhere. Research indicates that humans are exposed to from tens of thousands to millions of microplastics per year, which is several milligrams per day. Milligrams is, still a small amount, but these minute amounts are also very, very dangerous because they're the ones that can infiltrate everything, even the brain. The main sources of microplastics are synthetic and plastic fibers, building materials, waste incineration byproducts, and landfills. So when they burn these synthetics, they let out these toxins out into the air, which are made out of plastics. The main exposure is indoor air and drinking water in plastic bottles, as well as food intake. Exposure in newborns and infants includes plastic feeding bottles and teats and medical devices that they get, like the respirators, right? Those are all plastic. So we have to just realize what we are being exposed to and take measures or take steps to counter that kind of toxicity. Maternal exposure affects offspring through generations. Babies are born with even more toxic chemicals than their parents with each generation. And with that comes with, there's more and more scientific research that's being revealed. It's been around for a long time, but hidden from the public. But now that it's being revealed, people are finding out what causes a lot of these learning disorders and behavioral disorders and all these other diseases. So as global plastics production has increased for over 50 years, so has overweight individuals and obesity in the population because it affects the glands. The glands are the ones that put out the hormones that monitor the system and assist everything having to do with how your body utilizes nutrients and sugars and fats and oils and things like that. So an agricultural report showed that microplastics are a part of fertilizer components in agriculture and remain in the land for about 15 years before they're eventually released into the atmosphere. So all this time they're decomposing into smaller and smaller microparticles, and they're getting into the water tables, all of our water sources on Earth, and then they actually get airborne. Okay, so they're everywhere. We're inhaling them. We're, just ingesting them because you can't get away from them. Don't worry, I've got solutions. Do not worry. Laboratory and animal studies have indicated the adverse effects in marine animal studies. So they've done a lot of studies on the ocean. Mistaken ingestion of microplastics have been shown to cause organ abnormalities. So a lot of these tests that scientists have performed over the years have been on animals and also in cell cultures. They're called cell lines. So you have a culture of certain kinds of diseases, and they grow those cultures in the mediums that nourish the culture, the cells, and over time they can track generations of these cells. So they're all assigned their names and numbers, so that they can keep track of which cell lines that they are studying. But they've done a lot of those kinds of studies, and so all indications point to that they're very, very toxic for living cells and animals. And so a lot of that has been spilled over into human studies. Not nearly enough. That is still out there. Scientists are calling to the scientific community that they need more research on this very subject. And I don't know if it's been hidden from us, and it's going to be coming out soon. I see a lot of brand new research that I've been doing lately in the last couple of years. So it's starting to come out and be exposed to the public. And the research that I do is exposed to the public, but they don't know where, you all may not know where to find it. So always search in terms of scientific studies, scientific research, science journal, any search term that you use to try to get information. Always follow your search term with science journal or peer-reviewed studies or something like that, so that you bypass all the propaganda, all the misinformation, the disinformation, the malinformation, all that stuff, or any company who proclaims that their products have been scientifically tested. Of course, they have their own in-house scientists, and their outcomes are going to be what the corporation tells them to be, right? That's not real science. You've got to find the objectivity of what's going on in the real scientific world. And so the more studies that are done, the more the scholars and the highly qualified peer reviews can gather the most credible type of scientific studies that will give you the information that you need, that you can trust. So over time, it takes a long time to gather this kind of information and come to consistent conclusions and to point to the obvious sometimes. Someone takes in a lot of microplastics, a lot of toxins throughout their life, and voila, they've got a disease. Gee, I wonder why. The body's in a toxic state, and all the systems are disrupted, and all the systems are being destroyed at the cellular level. Nothing's working right. So the system is going to be breaking down toward the disease process. This is a very degenerative, very dangerous thing to do. And that is what has been wrong with a lot of the population. So reversing that, I have found in my studies and in my research and watching my clients' health transformations over the years, that all they need is the right nutrients. And there's wrong kinds of nutrition, and there's the right kind of nutrition. So it all happens at the microcell level. And this is what we're talking about here tonight. So where was I? Okay, so the main sources of microplastics are synthetic and plastic fibers, building materials, incineration byproducts, and landfills. Okay, that's where I was. The main exposure is indoor air and drinking water in plastic bottles. I said that already. Exposure in newborns and infants includes plastic feeding bottles and teats and medical devices. Maternal exposure affects offsprings through generations. I already, kind of elaborated on that. Global plastics production has increased for over 50 years. And okay, so yeah, I did all of that already, didn't I? Let's see, what else? Agriculture report, fertilizer, 15 years. My gosh, did I already read through all that? Laboratory animal studies. Okay, so I think that's where we left off because it triggered, what I talked about animals and cell cultures. So, yeah. So primary microplastics enter the human body many ways. Sewage treatment processes do not filter them out and therefore are released into tap water and other water sources. So these microplastics, they're so small that they're smaller than bacteria, a lot smaller. So these water treatment plants, they make sure that there aren't, illness-causing, disease-causing bacteria in our water. They don't do much else. Everything else gets through because everything else is at a much smaller micro level. Consumer care products such as cosmetics and hair care, chemical household detergents, pesticides, package containers, textiles, even the material that we buy, paint fragments, all of that contains these microplastics. Direct ingestion, direct contact, and inhalation. So any body care products, that has synthetic chemicals in it, those are going to be sources of microplastics. And let's see, microplastics or microbeads. That was something that came out in cosmetics for a while, and they were recalled because other countries have already understood that these microbeads are extremely dangerous. It's a type of manufactured non-biodegradable primary microplastic, currently prohibited internationally, finally now including in the US. There must have been enough outcry, enough lawsuits going on that finally made these corporations sit up and take notice. As consumers, we have to educate ourselves. We have to protect ourselves with the right knowledge. And knowing the difference between something that is going to sway your opinion or cloud your judgment or lead you down the wrong path toward lies that are actually going to harm you, that's the discernment that we learn here at the True Health Mastery Institute. We have to separate fact from fiction, and I'm showing people every week how to do that. Secondary microplastics are the plastic products that have decomposed after environmental exposure. So there's a lot of primary plastics out there, and once they start decomposing, those are the secondary microplastics. So the manufacture of plastic polymers. So we have been manufacturing plastic polymers since I was a kid. I remember the first time on stage, somebody from a corporation came and showed us how they poured a liquid into this, a form, and a few seconds later, out pops a foam pillow. And so everybody was thinking, wow, that's amazing. But little did we know that those were dangerous to our health, especially as we started using more and more plastics and becoming more and more dependent on them. And so we got exposed to them more and more, and generational, from one generation to another, people started getting more and more ill. So chemicals used to make plastic polymers are endocrine disruptors. So your endocrine system puts out all of your hormones from all of your glands, and the way they function, they put out signals to the nervous system and the immune system. They start and stop all of these thousands and millions and trillions even of biochemical processes in the body. And once that gets interrupted, your body doesn't know what to do. It goes into this, mode where everything is malfunctioning. And that can be very dangerous too, of course. So it's also called hormonally active agents. All right, so these are hormonally active agents that are not good agents, known to be cancer-causing and cause reproductive system harm by stimulating the release of endocrine disruptors. Now I am quoting the very solid scientific research that has been done for many years. Microplastics are known to carry toxic heavy metals and many other kinds of pollutants. So they just absorb everything, all the toxins that are already bad enough for us that our bodies are trying to detoxify from. So the effects of microplastics on human health, they're associated with respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, since airborne plastic fibers are found in lung tissue. Cellular in vitro, that means the laboratory growing the cell cultures, and animal studies show microplastics can adversely affect digestive, endocrine, immune, reproductive, and respiratory systems. They cause changes in the intestinal microbiome. That gut, the gut atmosphere in your colon is very important for producing the right type of beneficial bacteria that help you to absorb nutrients and help your immune system. And also they communicate with your brain. And that's called the gut-brain axis. There's a video on this channel that you can go and watch that. That's very fascinating. So this communication highway goes on all over the body with every single body system among every one of our trillions of cells at all times. We need to be properly nourished. We need to cleanse the system on a regular basis. And the right foods, the right nutritional protocol for you is constantly helping your body detoxify on a daily basis, protect you from all of these kinds of toxins. So if you're not optimally nourished, you're in danger of falling victim to all of the disease processes that these toxins that contain microplastics, on top of everything else in your body. So we have to make sure we know how to get rid of them. So now they also cause changes in the intestinal microbiome, leading to imbalances between beneficial and harmful bacteria colonies in the gut that can cause abdominal pain or bloating and affect your bowel habits. So, I mean, some people can go from being constipated to diarrhea in one afternoon. So, making sure you maintain that right gut microbiome in your body is very, very important. Physically, it can block the digestive tract, injure and inflame the mucous membranes of the intestines. Without those mucous membranes in our intestines, that extremely caustic, strong hydrochloric acid that breaks down our food during digestion. Without it, we wouldn't be able to digest our foods. So it can also cause a lot of pain if those tissues are inflamed. When the size of the microplastics becomes smaller than 1 micrometer, forming nanoplastics or ultrafine plastics, as they're also called, they pass through tissue barriers and enter capillary blood vessels throughout the bloodstream. So once they enter those capillary blood vessels, not only are they dangerously circulating throughout your whole body, but they're damaging your blood vessels as well. So they cause chemical toxicity through accumulations of heavy metals and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons called PAHs. When ingested orally, they lead to gastrointestinal problems, including nausea, abdominal pain, and vomiting. Again, these are different scientists reporting the same things. They cause oxidative stress, inflammation, and damage in lung airways when inhaled, leading to low oxygen concentrations, resulting in shortness of breath, fatigue, and dizziness, and also affecting energy-producing capacity in your cell mitochondria. Inside every one of your trillions of cells is this little microorganelle, a little organ inside of your cells that produces energy. This is the energy-producing environment in every one of your multiple trillions of cells, and increasing the risk of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. So anyone who has had many, many problems in these areas, you might want to take a look at how many microplastics you've been taking in and how much plastic you have in your home. Interfere with the hormonal system, impair the production release from the glands. As I said, the glands are releasing the hormones in the entire endocrine system, and normal metabolism of hormones, including infertility, miscarriage, congenital malformations, developmental impairments. How many people do you know who have children that have had learning disorders, learning impairments, or even adults? It acts as a medium for environmental toxins such as bisphenol A or BPA, known to cause diseases of the endocrine and reproductive systems. Microplastics have been found in placentas of pregnant women. Accumulated exposure stimulated chronic inflammatory responses in animal test subjects. So there's been plenty of research on animals and also on the cells. A study on human lung cells revealed how microplastics affect immune cell responses by taking over the regulating of gene expressions and proteins. So that when it gets down to the DNA level and it's disrupting how your DNA instructions are operating your whole body, then you're in trouble. Because once those instructions are damaged, then there's a whole cascade of problems that you're going to be having. And as I've stated many times in other videos and other presentations over the years, when we nourish our bodies properly, then our DNA can read that information and make the corrections. It can build the proteins necessary that can be replaced on your DNA. So a study on human lung cells revealed how microplastics affect immune cell responses by taking over the regulating of gene expressions and proteins. Okay, I know I'm repeating myself. Human cell in vitro experiments and other animal studies on mice showed how microplastics have caused inflammation and oxidative stress or increased production of the stress chemical called reactive oxygen species, ROS. So our bodies will produce this inflammatory reaction, this chemical, this biochemical. It's actually a kind of a protein so there's good proteins and bad proteins, and good inflammatory responses and bad inflammatory responses, okay, or ones that run rampant when your immune system doesn't know what to do. Okay, so now so they have actually increased this production of this reactive kind of oxygen species in the body. There's many others also, but the ROS is more prevalent and talked about the most. Disturbances on lipid or fat metabolism, how your body utilizes fats. Gut microbiota disturbances. See, now more, it sounds redundant, but there's other studies that kind of confirm everything. I only picked out about 4 or 5 different peer-reviewed studies, so I try to summarize what they were all saying into one. All right, so neurotoxicity, when nanoparticles accumulated in the central nervous system, it resulted in microglia and neuron damage in the brain, showing cognitive dysfunction and changes in locomotor function and anti-cholinesterase activity. So the way your body uses the neurotransmitter choline in the body also. So, you know, there's always counter enzymes that help tone down inflammation or speed up inflammation in certain instances. So they all are associated with different functions in the body. And this one happens to be associated with the brain. Effects of nanometer-sized microplastics exposure on various cancer cell cultures revealed experiments on in vitro gastric adenocarcinoma cell gene expressions increased, which in the body indicates increased inflammation. So even in these cell cultures, they have found that these microplastics can increase the level of cancer cells that are being grown and how those DNA in those cancer cells are expressed. So we've got genes that are on the rung of our DNA that are giving the directions. And once those genes are damaged, then they cannot express, meaning they cannot provide the right information to run the body. Exposure of nanomicroplastics also increased the reactive oxygen species production in cell lines of human cerebral glioblastoma and cervical carcinoma. So these are 2 different cell lines. One was for brain cancer and one was for cancer in the cervix. Increased oxidative stress in lung, colon, and small intestine epithelial cells. So the epithelial cells are just the types of cells that line many of our tissues in our body. Okay, so I hope none of you are too nauseous or too queasy at this point, because there's a lot of toxins affecting the body in so many ways, isn't it? Don't worry, things will get better. So animal studies have shown exposure to microplastics caused lipid metabolism problems in the liver, especially in diabetic mice. Supposedly rodents have systems, metabolisms that are similar, very similar to humans. That's why they use rats and mice and other rodents in these experiments. And of course, it's not a very humane thing to do, and I don't agree. I don't condone it at all. It's there. The information is there. To date, more definitive evidence regarding exposure levels in humans, animals, and the environment is needed. So this is a conclusion that the scientists keep throwing out there. You know, we've done this research and we've come to these conclusions that are pointing to the fact that these microplastics are, very dangerous to our health, but more research is needed. Because when I did a search on AI on some basic information about this, I always check with AI just so I can, sometimes it helps me summarize very quickly what I need. But a lot of times I have found AI is still learning, it's still gathering data. And sometimes it can gather the wrong data. And I have found that many, many times it contradicts the peer-reviewed science that has been out there, for many, many years. And it actually contradicts. It says, oh no, this isn't, it can't happen. No, this isn't possible. And no, there's no way that this can help your health, right? Those are the kinds of things that AI comes up with once in a while. It's still pretty good. when you've done this as long as I have, and you've researched as long as I have, and you've gone to college, so many times, and over the years, you've seen the results, how it matches the science, you can recognize information like this. And this is what I want to impart to you, everybody out there. I want to impart this knowledge that I've gathered over the years, and I keep my learning never stops, especially with the new research coming out all the time. The newer studies in 2024, 2025 is very exciting. It continues to verify, what the scientists in the past have found. So we do need more studies on how microplastics affect the body. I found what I could, and this is what we've got so far. To date, more definitive evidence regarding exposure levels in humans, animals, and the environment is needed. To repeat myself again. All right, Korean research. Now, there's a lot of research going on in Asia that is somewhat ahead of other countries, and especially the United States. So Korean research examined levels of heavy metals in foods as well as dietary exposure. 134 food items were studied for levels of threshold exposure and microplastics loads. The content of microplastics in each organ based on unit intake was analyzed. So here's a little table they come up with, and I thought it was really cool because they've got all of the seafood that this particular country eats a lot of, and they found many, many microplastics in these foods. So they correlate with the kinds of illnesses that people are suffering from. All right, so yeah, if you want to, if you're a member, you can download this. It'll be in a PDF file form in the membership area. If you're not a member, then please join, because you'll get more and more information like this that you can use and you can research and review anytime you want. So, so here we go. It just talks about all of the different types of seafood that, has been, they have found the microplastics in. So this is a nice little chart. I love when the scientists put that together for us. So regulations, global and domestic attempts at solutions. All right, so this is what the world's been trying to rectify for us. Some countries have banned the use of microplastics in emissions. Emissions, wow. You can't even drive a car without the emissions being microplastics. Restricting single-use or disposable plastics, recycling. We need to truly improve on that in the United States. I don't know about other countries, but much of the recyclables are not even recycled, from what I understand. So we really need to improve on that. Banning intentional use of primary microplastics in cleaning products. They were even in our cleaning products. European Union included regulating agricultural and cosmetic products, air fresheners, paints and coatings, oil and gas products, construction equipment, medications, medical devices, food, synthetic detergents, and adhesive. I've always told people to stay away from these synthetics, and little did we know that there were also microplastics in them as carriers, probably. All right, so the Netherlands and Germany, they promote long-term research to understand where terrestrial microplastics occur, where they are spread, and ways to treat where they are located. So they've gone over their lands, their water sources, and to see where they congregate. Korea has proposed international regulations based on scientific knowledge. So this is I love when the Asians put this out. Of course, other countries do too, but I happen to be looking at a lot of the Korean studies. So, here is when they were first banned. So here we have the United States in 2014 and 2015. First ban on the use of microbeads in personal care products was in Illinois. And they've also banned the use of microbeads in cosmetic products in California, New Jersey, and New York, and et cetera. It probably means a lot of other states that have followed suit since 2015. And Canada, they've done their thing. And then all of these countries, New Zealand, Northern Ireland, Italy, and the UK. So they don't even allow the manufacture and sales of personal care products containing microbeads. Sweden, also Taiwan, Korea. So this is a pretty good chart to see the indication of how things have improved. Other countries have joined in later years. So researchers have found microplastics like polyethylene, polypropylene, polystyrene, polyvinyl chloride, polyethylene terephthalate, and polycarbonate in human blood, transported throughout the whole body via the circulation, found in the spleen, the colon, the feces, the lung, the placenta, and breast milk. Concentrations on polyethylene terephthalate in infant feces are 10 times higher than in adults. Now, if that doesn't scare you or worry you, I don't know what doesn't. Other researchers found that brain tissue accumulates higher amounts of polyethylene nanoparticles compared to the liver and kidney. It was also discovered that polyethylene microplastics in the brain of the deceased with a dementia diagnosis had the consistency of shard-like fragments deposited in cerebrovascular walls and the immune cells. They're getting into your immune system, your immune cells that are supposed to protect your body. All right, it is estimated that adults ingest microplastics in the equivalent amount of 1 credit card per week, and much plastic in 1 credit card. That's how much adults are ingesting these microplastics per week. Research on human cells and test animals show that microplastics exposure could be linked to cancer, heart attacks, reproductive disorders, and many other conditions. Scientists conclude that we are left in the dark about how dangerous microplastics actually are, since there are still too few studies that have directly studied their impact on human health. This strongly apparent problem must be addressed through action from policymakers, industry leaders, and if the public lets their concerns be known on a massive scale, then we can get these entirely done. And new technologies, I'm sure some very creative scientists out there will develop some technologies that will help us clean up the earth and help us clean these things out of our tissues. But in the meantime, we have the God-given gifts, the plant kingdom on planet Earth, and you will see how amazing they are. By the late 1960s, warnings about plastic pollution dangers were told when whole island-sized debris accumulated in the oceans. I don't know if any of you have heard about this huge island, that can probably be seen from the air of plastics that's floating around in the ocean. There's a few very heroic people who developed some technologies to try to start cleaning it up, but it's too little on this huge landmass, and all of the marine animals or the sea life have been ingesting these particles all this time. That's why I can't bring myself to eat a fish. Now, if you are fishing off the Arctic waters, they're supposed to be the most pristine on Earth. Doesn't mean that they don't have plastic particles in them, but at least they're a lot less, a lot more pure in those waters up north than anywhere else in the ocean. I would never, eat fish fished out of a lake or a stream, no matter how pristine it looks. If it's in the air and it's falling on the planet, then we over time it's been accumulating, and these fish have been ingesting them too. So now where was I? All right, so by the 1970s, small pieces of plastic and marine plankton were observed. So they've been examining the tissues of these marine animals, and this is very, very sad. So this poor, sea turtle is swimming along and maybe gulping a few things that he probably thinks or she probably thinks is plankton or something, but no, they're little plastic particles. So the term microplastics or nanoplastics, particles less than 1 micrometer in size, was first coined in 2004. So we've been, scientists have known about this for a very, very long time already. These plastic fragments have been spread by wind and water throughout the world, contaminating everything from ocean depths to the highest mountain summits. Now, there was an article that was written how the very bottom of the ocean floor, I don't know, miles deep, the plastic particles are down there too. Researchers have also found microplastics in testicles, semen, meconium, which is the newborn's first stool, heart, stomach, and lymph nodes. So these are different studies. There's other researchers that have found them in other tissues, as we've already stated, but still they're finding more and more in the human body everywhere. Studies also show that microplastics compromise the immune systems of fish and birds, making them more vulnerable to infections. Animal and cellular studies linked microplastics to deteriorated tissues, altered metabolic function, abnormal organ development, cell damage, and more. Now, as a practitioner, a nutritional healing consultant for 45 years, I have seen so many ailments in so many people. And once you show them how to nourish their body entirely, completely, and correctly, miraculously, they get better. I don't have the science to back that up yet. There's a little bit of science out there as I'm presenting tonight, but there's more research that needs to confirm this. Again, the healers have known this. They know what fixes the human body. They just they had to wait for science to catch up, right? And it's still catching up. So when science matches the results, I'm always saying this, it's one of my mantras. When science matches the results, then you've got something. Then you've got true health, recovery. Animal and cellular studies linked microplastics to deteriorated tissues, altered metabolic function, abnormal organ development, cell damage, and more. So again, this just reiterating what other scientists have found, and that's very comforting to know. It was reported in the March 2024 New England Journal of Medicine that patients who underwent surgery to remove plaques from their arteries that consisted of microplastics were determined to be at a higher risk of heart attack, stroke, and death. Again, I did see that in my early years of research where when those of the deceased, their arteries were examined and the plaques that they removed out of the blood vessels were composed not of cholesterol, it was composed of plasticized particles. A large-scale review of existing research was conducted by scholars at the University of California, San Francisco, and they concluded that microplastics exposure is strongly suspected to harm reproductive, digestive, and respiratory health, and pointed to a link to colon and lung cancer. Again, another group of scientists have gathered the research together and found that many scientists all over the world are just discovering, the same outcomes about these particles. Another one, a new study published in Environmental Science and Technology found microplastic in the endometrial tissue of women who had multiple miscarriages. I've had clients before who could not get pregnant. Once you cleaned out the junk out of their diet and made them aware of the side effects of some of the things they were taking, and also made sure they were completely and correctly nourished, then they were able to have children. Voila, miraculously. That's what happened. Their doctors didn't know what happened. They said, well, great, I'm happy for you. Keep doing what you're doing. They didn't know. They weren't trained. They don't have this information, you guys. They don't have this information. Please help us get this information to your medical practitioners. We have wonderful medical practitioners that are realizing this and actually going out and teaching to others, like our Dr. St. Clair here. Alrighty, so now here's a quote. Considering that the uterus houses and nourishes the embryo and is key to subsequent fetal development during gestation, there is a pressing need to investigate the presence of microplastics in the human uterus. So again, another group of concerned scientists, this is a quote that I grabbed from the scientific literature. Since the mid-20th century, the use of plastics has continued to grow exponentially. So far, there is nearly a metric ton of plastic waste produced per every person on Earth. We're using so much plastic, everyone, and let's try to cut down on that plastic. Like I say, shop the periphery of the store and you'll be able to cut down on plastic drastically. So types of plastic particulates and health effects. Now, this is an excerpt that I pulled from my book, Potent Superfoods for Lifelong True Health. And those of you who are members can, if you don't already have my book, you can just click on this link and it'll take you right to, the book. All right, so, and if you're not a member, those of you who are subscribers to the YouTube channel, you can go to holisticchoices.com and order the book. And this is just an excerpt from it. It's a 600-page book, and I think once you have that in your home library, you won't be able to put it down because you'll discover all the wonderful things that the plant kingdom does for the human body. And this is just peer-reviewed science collected over many years into one book. So human-produced inorganic polymers include the polyethylene, polypropylene, polyvinyl chloride, polystyrene, nylon, Teflon. If you're using Teflon pans, throw them out fast. Thermoplastic polyurethane. So all of these plastics, they're in everything. They're linked to learning, linked to memory learning disorders, and a memory deficit affects complex learning, following directions, spelling, reading and comprehension, reasoning ability, cognition, writing, IQ, acquiring knowledge through perception, reasoning, or intuition, or attention span, as well as social interactions. They're all impacted. Unlike short or long-term memory, working memory impairment affects the ability to maintain or retrieve various bits of previously learned information that normally enables one to solve a problem or perform a task. So these functions from our brain, our mental capacity have been terribly disrupted and diminished. Trans fatty acids or plasticized oils, again, you've got microplastics, right? If you're using a cooking oil and you're heating it up, you're turning it into a plastic. So things like hydrogenated fats, shortening margarine, things that have been heated at super high temperatures and formed a solid, that's very unnatural for a cooking oil to turn into a solid. If you want more information about good fats and bad fats, please visit this channel and explore the video on this subject. Alrighty, so yeah, they've been found to be present in the form of hardened plaques in arteries of heart surgery patients and the deceased, like I mentioned earlier. So I did a search on Google on the search phrase "test that measures amounts of microplastics in the body." So if you click on this, you'll find. See if I can take us there. Okay. You'll find a whole lot of links of companies that will test your blood to see what kind of microplastics or the extent of microplastics that are in your body. So I don't want people to go out there and be totally devastated and think they're going to die because they have so many microplastics in the body. We've had them in our bodies for generations, and we're still here. Why? Because some of us are highly nourished and we understand what the plant kingdom does for our body. And this is something I want to share with you right now before I end this call. So if you're still with me, I'm so happy. If you're, stopping the video and taking it up later when you have more time, please make sure you watch it till the very end, because you're going to find out what the plant kingdom really can do for you. All right, so phytochemical compounds, those are those wonderful plant fluids that contain all of the immune factors and the phytochemical compounds that protect the plant itself, and they happen to be very compatible with our human bodies. So that's why the plant kingdom is so important to be able to detoxify. All right, so again, this is from my book, Potent Superfoods for Lifelong True Health, that I extracted here for us. So there's a section on detoxification at the end of the book where it lists all the different foods that will help, that have these phytochemical compounds that are known to bind to toxic chemicals and help your body eliminate them, or at least render them, not threatening. So in that section, I show toxic chemical chelation for safe elimination out of the body, clearing, neutralizing free radicals, which anything that doesn't belong in the body is called a free radical, and the atomic level, then they've got the scavenging effects of looking for the negatively charged ions that are in healthy cells. And so they steal them and then they damage our cells that way. So there's many things that are called free radicals, microplastics, synthetics, the toxins that we've been mentioning tonight. Cellular waste, microbials, and pollutants from fluids and cells of tissues. So, these foods will help your body to get rid of all of these wastes and fix the kind of beneficial bacteria in your gut and get rid of the bad bacteria that's in there that's causing a lot of health issues, pollutants from fluids and cells of tissues. All right, so we've got to be able to cleanse the body at the cellular level, and through the fluids in our bodies help eliminate them out of the body. Cleansing the blood, the liver, and other tissues, all the tissues that have these kinds of toxins embedded in them and are disrupting the way the body functions. And we've got 5 eliminative channels. There's other channels too, but these are the major ones. The lungs, they expel the phlegm that catches all the particulates that we breathe in. The lymph fluid and lymph nodes that flushes out the toxins and allows the immune cells that are generated in the lymph nodes to do their work to protect your body. The colon, eliminating waste, maintaining tissue functions in the colon wall. The colon wall is very important. Sometimes it gets crusted up and it can't absorb water. It can't reabsorb some nutrients that are the body tries to. It's very frugal when it comes to nutrients. When something is ready to go out the door, it does this last ditch effort to make sure it can absorb any kind of nutrients that it was missed somehow. So the body is very frugal that way. But anyhow, if those tissues are damaged, then there's ways to get that repaired. Those tissues can be repaired, including water and residual nutrient absorption. So nutrient absorption is very important. Skin, perspiration, or sweat. Sometimes these toxins can be eliminated through our perspiration. Kidneys, flushing the solutes and the wastes. A lot of times kidneys get inflamed and they get clogged up, just like all these other systems do. So we have to maintain the clear circulatory system that the plant kingdom and the right water will help wash and flush out for us. So this daily detoxification with lots of water and foods from the plant kingdom are very important. So these are the botanicals that are in my book. There are 109 botanicals in there. And so I just picked out the ones that the science, it's a very intensive scientific reference. So there's many scientific references throughout the book. So every single one of these botanicals I've researched and pulled out the scientific data on all of these. And you'll be amazed what scientists have found that these botanicals can do for your body to cleanse and detoxify, especially. They do so many other things for the body, but this is the subject for tonight. So we're concentrating on their detoxification attributes. All right. So as you can see, don't have to read them all to you, but A through Z, we've got a lot of botanicals in that book and the scientific monographs that show what the scientists have found that these wonderful plants can do. And so the scientists have found that these phytochemical compounds in these botanicals have been shown to bind to toxic chemicals and help the body release them. And over time, I think that happens more and more, because the body can't do it all at one time. It's just not possible. But over time, you can continually and gradually detoxify. Now, I've applied my own knowledge to my health. I am 71 years old in another couple of months, and I feel 25. I don't have any problems. I don't have any health issues. I've made sure that I paid attention to everything I've ever learned and applied it to myself. And I've turned around and taught it to my clients and my students and my readerships. And so it works because this is what the body truly needs to fix everything. Fix everything. Okay, this has been my experience and it matches the science. All righty. A few others here. So here's other ways to detox. So I've been working with organic essential oils. There are the concentrations of plant fluids. It takes many pounds or tonnages even of plant materials to produce, just a few ounces of these essential oils. So they're very highly concentrated. They're easily assimilated through the skin. That's how compatible these plant fluids are. And the safest way to use these highly concentrated oils. Now, I just did a course on that a couple of weeks ago on essential oils. So there is a video on this YouTube channel that you can learn all about the essential oils and how to apply them, their safe use and all that, because they're very concentrated. They can be kind of caustic on your skin. So there's only one place they're safe, and that's the bottom of your soles of your feet. All right, so that's what you do. Make sure they're organic. You don't want any pesticide residues, concentrated in these things. But that's another way to detox because of the chelation that goes on, or the attachment of these synthetic chemicals to these phytochemicals that can neutralize them and help your body eliminate them and dissipate them. So this is the link to the video. But if you just look at the other videos on this YouTube channel, you'll find it. Okay, so also now there's other compounds in foods like animal-derived meats. Those are very important. Eggs, they're high in sulfur compounds, which are very, very cleansing and detoxifying. And every one of our trillions of cells recognizes these compounds as the very thing that it needs to protect itself, all right, to protect these cells. So they're found in the animal proteins, and other OSCs are found in plant foods like the onion group. Okay, and the garlic group. So they're called the allylic sulfur compounds, indoles, isothiocyanates, and sulforophane. So these are different plant compounds that are found in the plant kingdom. So if you eat a lot of plants, especially in the onion family, then you're going to have another way that your body can help detoxify. So if you're an onion lover, garlic lover, go at it. Okay. All right. So also minerals play a very important role to help the body eliminate these toxins. So if you choose organic whole foods, not canned foods, not frozen foods, not foods that have been heated like that, the plant foods, if you buy plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables and berries and raw nuts and seeds and eat the whole grains raw, heck, I eat my whole grains raw. I don't have time to cook them. So I sprinkle them in on everything. Sometimes I'll just grab a handful before a workout and gives me a good boost of carbohydrates, quality carbohydrates and minerals and vitamins, right? So you have a better workout. But these organic whole foods that are rich in essential minerals are so essential. You can also choose a complete organic whole food multi-nutrient complex nutritional supplement. I only can advocate a couple of products, and one of them is an APL Go line of products that have the same effects as the essential oils do. They assimilate into the body very quickly. You can also look at my website and click on the APL Go link on the side there, and you will see the many videos that I've done with this company to advise and to teach the associates, to educate their own clients, or their own recruits into the company on how to appreciate all the amazing ways that the body can assimilate these nutrients in this particular product line. But also, there's another multiple vitamin if you want to take a tablet that I have on my website, and so it's the best multiple I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot over the years. And these are just the ingredients. It's got enzyme active ingredients, all the food generated vitamins and minerals. So you don't want any synthetics in your supplements. You want a whole vitamin and mineral supplements that has the full range of known essential vitamins and minerals in it. So these are all highly absorbable, and they've got the whole food complexes. Again, you've got the phytochemical compounds that are in all of these different foods. So I've got some pretty good stuff on my holisticchoices.com website. So please go and explore it. All righty. So let's go back to our document. Now, yeah, I always list my references. So if you want to dive into that scientific literature, you'll see that it goes into a bit more detail than I have presented here tonight. And so it's always fun to go and see what the scientists have been discovering. And you'll learn a lot about how the body works because of how they explain how they conduct their experiments. And so this is exciting. And I always have to show you the books that I've written, the nutritional synergy system that I developed years ago that my clients have been using forever. And it includes foods from every conceivable type of food in our healthy food array of foods that are available to us. So it has 14 different categories in it. I don't know any other food system that does that. It's to ensure that your body's getting all the nourishment it needs. So choosing foods for my system is very rewarding and very easy and very fun because you can play with it and put together a huge variety of very healthy foods. And then the Potent Superfoods for Lifelong True Health, that's the book that I took some excerpts from tonight. And Eating for Physical Power and Stamina, if you want to lose weight, if you want to tone up your body, or if you want to seriously become a very efficient athlete, then this is the book for you. It's for everyone who wants to have a fit body so that your body does not become weak. It can detoxify itself on a regular basis, and you can protect yourself from the degenerative effect that many athletes find themselves in, to protect your connective tissues and your joints, and as well as your muscle strength and endurance. So that book is from my years of experience as a bodybuilder and a long distance runner, things like that I did, and the martial arts, and I did some ballet and yoga, so all those things I put together into that one book for everyone. All right, the True Health Mastery is a primer. If you're new to this concept and you don't really trust the fact that, okay, just because I want to eat a few, healthy foods, I'm going to suddenly get rid of all my health issues. Sort of. You have to go deeper than that. You have to be much more expansive than that. But yes, the body needs nutrients, and it needs the right types of foods and the right types of supplements, and also how to select the right supplements. So I put these 5 books together, which are not redundant. They are giving you the whole health picture so that you can master your health. And if you join as a member, you're going to get information like I presented tonight every single week, and you'll be able to build your knowledge and go around and turn around and be knowledgeable enough and excited enough to teach others, and your health will transform. If you do the work, it will transform. That's how we're made. I didn't make this up. I didn't create us. God did. He made us this way. So truth resonates with people. Alrighty, and like I said, if you want to become a member, then you can just go to the True Health Mastery Institute website, which is on my main site. Just click on the True Health Mastery link here, and it'll give you the description of what all the perks are for being a member. I go out of my way to help my members. I treasure my members, and I want them to turn around and teach others, which they're already doing, you know. Okay, so back to this. And if you want to take my online self-paced course, Nutritional Synergy, which matches the book, but I elaborate, you know, more, then you can take this course. And all you have to do to enroll is go to my website, holisticchoices.com, and you'll see the online courses tab on the left, and you'll arrive at this page, and you'll be able to see the course description and see what the modules are all about. I don't know. Oh, I think it's going to a different window. That's right. I set it up to go to a different window. So I've got 4 windows up on this course, but anyhow, you can explore the different modules, you know, and here's a load more button. There's 13 modules. No, there's 15 modules in this course, and you'll learn all you need to know to nourish your body completely and correctly. And as you apply them, then your health will improve. And it's not something that you do on a temporary basis. It's something that you incorporate as a lifestyle. You've got to make it a lifestyle because your body constantly needs nourishment, the right nourishment. You have to protect yourself. And while doing it, you're not buying into or funding all these corporations that are giving your body or selling you these toxins. You know, they don't care about us. They care about profit and other sinister things. So we have to take this and manage our health knowledgeably and effectively. And that means being healthy. That is the best empowerment that I can think of that any human being on this planet can do. And with that, I'm going to say goodnight to everyone out there on YouTube. Thank you so much for staying with me, and my members here tonight. If you're a member, after this recording goes off, we have deeper conversations and there's more learning that goes on. There's more exploring and researching and all kinds of wonderful things happen with the members and I. So I'd love to get to know you out there. Feel free to join. Just go to my website and click on the join button on that page that describes the True Health Mastery Institute that I just showed you. Then you'll be in and you'll be able to join us. We'll be so happy to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to say goodnight to everybody, except for my members. Please hang with me for a minute here, members. All right, so here's the stop recording. All right, see you later. Thank you for joining us. See you next time. Bye-bye.